Hello students, welcome to electronics online classes. Today we are continuing with the transistor biasing chapter. Yesterday in transistor biasing we have seen what is the need for biasing and how to draw a DC load line. Transistor biasing, after biasing a transistor, what it will decide is it will set the values of some DC voltages. That means we have considered CE mode transistor in NPN transistor in CE mode we have considered. In that we could set the values of IB, VBE, output current IC and output voltage VCE. So by setting all of these currents and voltages, we can decide the operating point of the transistor. That means if these values fixed, then the transistor is biased. Then you can apply the input signal and transistor can be used as amplifier or any other applications. So in yesterday we saw how to draw DC load line. DC load line is a straight line drawn on the output characteristic curve of the transistor. So how to draw DC load line? So to draw any line we need two endpoints. So we could find out the endpoints of the DC load line. Also I have given the assignment for you people to draw the DC load line for two circuits. In the first circuit the RC value was 1 kilo ohm. As I have already told you, IC 1 by RC is the slope. If RC varies, the slope of the line, IC value will also vary. That we will see now. See, in the first case, RC value was 1 kilo ohm. So, the endpoints of the DC load line, we have already derived the expressions. That is, VCE is on x-axis. That is called as VCE cutoff. That is equal to VCC. So VCE cutoff is equal to VCC is 10 volt. So 10 volt is one of the endpoints of the DC load line, and IC saturation where the X component will be 0, that is VCC by RC. 10 divided by 1 kilo, that is 10 milliamperes was the IC, the another endpoint of the load line. So if you can find the endpoints of the load line, you can draw a straight line between these two endpoints. This was the first load line drawn for the first circuit, right, where RC value was 1 kilo. And for second circuit, I have changed the RC value into 5 kilo ohm. So at that time what happens? VCE cutoff remains same as 10 volt for the second circuit even, because VCC is fixed. We have not changed VCC. Whereas IC saturation for the second circuit changed, that is VCC divided by RC, 10 divided by 5 kilo, then it is 2 milliamperes. So for the second circuit, the DC load line shifted, the endpoint on y-axis shifted to this. So the DC load line will be this. Assume here we have a output characteristic curves of the transistor. Output characteristics of the transistor in CE mode will be VCE versus IC. So the DC load line is one which intersects the output characteristic curve of the transistor. So this endpoints of the DC load line will be decided by setting the DC voltages and DC currents. Okay. So if the DC load line, for the second circuit is this one, which is almost near to cutoff region. So if depending on the application of the transistor, whether the transistor has to work as an amplifier or switch, we will decide where to draw the DC load line. So So for that we need to fix the values. In biasing steps, what and all we need to set? We need to set that VCC and RC, RB values and VBB values. By setting all these values, how much we need depending on the desired application, then these points VC and IC saturation and VC cutoff will be decided. So we'll get the end points of the DC load as our desired values. So if we want the active region, the first load line which covers the most of the active region, whereas the second load line will not cover. So if you want to work the transistor as an amplifier, then RC value will be changed to 5 kilo ohm. So this is how we could draw the DC load line. Today we will learn how to find out the Q point coordinates. That means we saw what is Q point, that is operating point, which will be on this DC load line. So the intersection of the DC load line with the output characteristic curve is the point, that is a Q point, a quiescent point or operating point of the transistor. That we will see today. Here I will keep the same circuit. With VBB is variable, some point RB is equal to 10 kilo ohm and RC is equal to 1 kilo ohm, and it is VCC is 10 volt. It's an NPN transistor connected in CA mode. So to find out, they have given beta. I have already told you, beta is the amplification factor, that is current gain when the transistor is connected in CA mode. So beta is equal to, this relation we know, beta is equal to IC by IB. This configuration, output current is IB and input current is IB. The gain of current gain is defined as the ratio of output current to the input current. So beta value is given, that is equal to 200. So with this relation, IC is equal to beta IB. Okay. So to decide the Q point of this, first we'll draw the DC load line. Endpoints of DC load line, that is calculated. We have already calculated, that is VCE cutoff. That is equal to VCC is equal to 10 volt. IC saturation, that is equal to VCC by RC, that is 10 divided by 1 kilo, then it is 10 milliamperes. So I will draw the output characteristic curve of the transistor here. So cutoff region, this is saturation region. So if I treat this as 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10, one of the endpoint of the DC load line is 10 volt, that is VCE on x-axis, and it is 10 milliamperes. 2, 4, 6, 8. So DC load line will be drawn, a straight line joining the two endpoints that we have already calculated. So the Q point will be somewhere here. These are the Q points. So that is decided by the value of IB. So IB, for example, for IB it is IB 0, IB 1, IB 2, IB 3 and IB 4. For different IB values, we are getting the different curves of output characteristics. So I'll keep IB1, these 3 points. Let me keep IB is equal to 25 microamperes, constant IB, 25 microamperes if I take. So IC is equal to beta IB, then beta is 200 given, IB into 25 into 10 to the power minus 6, you get 5 milliamperes, and that is called as ICQ. ICQ in the sense it's a coordinate, one of the coordinates for the Q point. Q point is 1, which is the intersection of the DC load line with the output characteristic curve under no signal condition. So for the next coordinate, that is VCE, VCC, we have an equation VCC is equal to VCE plus ICRC. VCEQ will be equal to VCC divided by VCC minus ICRC. So VCC is 10 volt, IC is, we have calculated ICQ, that is ICQ 5 milli into RC is 1 kilo, then it is 5 volt. VCEQ is 5 volt, that is somewhere around here. If you draw a straight line, volt and 5 milliamperes of IC, this is the Q, which is having the coordinates of 5 volt comma 5 milliamperes, that is VCQ comma ICQ. It's the coordinates of the Q point. So if I change the value of IB to some 10 microamperes, so it will be 2 milliamperes is the ICQ value. So 2 milliamperes somewhere around here, and ICQ is 2 milliamperes, then it is 8 volt somewhere around here. This is the Q, which is having the coordinates of 8 volt and 2 milliamperes. This one I will call as Q1, Q2 and Q3, or I will call this as Q1 and Q2 and Q3. Q1 when IC was 25 microamperes, sorry, IB was 25 microamperes, whereas IB was 10 microamperes. Then I have got this curve. If I change the IB value to some 40 microamperes, it is 8 milliamperes. Calculate it. It will be 8 milliamperes. and if I substitute ICQ value 8 milliamperes, then it will be 2 volt. That will come somewhere around here. Q3 will be it is 2 volt and 8 milliamperes are the coordinates of VCQ and ICQ, and Q3 is the third Q point we have decided. So this is how to determine the coordinates of Q point. Q points are located on the DC load line where the load line intersects with the output characteristics of the transistor. So once you decide the Q points, then all these ICQ, ECUQ values have been set, then the transistor is properly biased. See, in this Q3 is nearer to saturation region and Q2 is nearer to cutoff region. So where the Q1 is at the center of the active region, so depending on our application we will choose the Q point. If the transistor wants to be working as an amplifier, then Q1 is chosen as an amplifier. That time we will keep IB is equal to 25 microamperes and we will decide the biasing of the transistor at that point. Okay, if the transistor wants to be work as a closed switch, then Q3 is chosen. If transistor wants to be work as a open switch, then Q2 is chosen. So to work transistor as an amplifier, the Q point should be at the center of the active region. That time we will select Q1. This is how to select the Q point of the transistor. So we have studied how to draw the DC load line and how to select the coordinates, how to find the coordinates of the Q point. Now, as we saw in the last circuit, we had two sources, right? We had two sources for biasing of the transistor. So it is a disadvantage. So we have only one source, connecting only one power supply and biasing the transistor is better way. So for that we have so many biasing circuits. That is, one is fixed biasing circuit. It's also called as base bias. A collector to base biasing circuit. The third one is emitter bias circuit. Or the last one and most important one, that is voltage divider biasing circuit. This is the most commonly used biasing circuits. Because of some disadvantages or complications with these biasing circuits, they have chosen voltage divider biasing circuit as a universal biasing circuit, where we are going to use most of the applications. This voltage divider biasing circuit only is used in almost all initial stages of amplifiers. So we will study how to select a DC load line endpoints using voltage divider biasing circuit, and also how to find out the Q point using this biasing circuit. There may be a question asking, mention the different types of biasing circuit. That time you should remember this. In further studies, you will study how to differentiate among these biasing circuits. You will study in detail all these biasing circuits and what are the disadvantages of the above biasing circuits with the voltage divider biasing circuits and why it is universal biasing circuit. In second PUC syllabus, we will study only voltage divider biasing circuit that looks like something like this. Using only one source will bias the transistor. Here VCC is the only one source is connected. This is RC, this is RE, the extra resistance we have connected here in voltage divider biasing circuit. These two are the R1 and R2 are the two resistors which provides the voltage divider among this circuit. So R1 and R2 which forms the voltage divider circuit. Let me call this point as V2. The voltage across R2 is equal to V2, which forward biases the forward voltage at point V2 or voltage drop across R2 which forward biases the emitter base junction of the transistor. Okay, and VCC is divided among these two. So V2 is a voltage across V2 which is the potential at this point which forward biases the emitter base junction, and RE is the resistor which gives the stability. RE is the resistor which gives the stability for the circuit. Stability for the transistor or for the circuit, for the biasing circuit against temperature. So how RE stabilizes? Because when the temperature increases, IC also increases. If IC increases, then IE also increases, right? Because IE is equal to IC plus IB. So if IE increases, which increases IE RE, that is a voltage drop across this resistor also increases. So if IE RE increases, the voltage, the base voltage, that is VBE, decreases because VCC is fixed, V2 is fixed, R1, R2 are fixed. Therefore, if this voltage increases, obviously this will be decreases because V2 is equal to VBE plus IERE. If IERE increases, this is fixed. If IERE increases, VBE decreases. If VBE decreases, which in turn decreases IB. So that if IB decreases, beta IB is the value of IC is also decreases. Consequently, IC decreases, which compensates the original increase in IC. So RE is a new resistor we have connected across the connected to the emitter terminal, which is giving the stability for the circuit against temperature. How? Because when temperature increases, IC increases. If IC increases, IE also increases. If IE increases, the voltage drop across IE RE increases, which in turn decreases this VBE. So IB decreases. IB decreases, then beta IB decreases, then IC also decreases, which compensates the original increase in IC, and then the circuit will be stable. So in voltage divider biasing, it can provide the stability for the circuit against temperature. Now we'll find out how endpoints of the DC load line. Before that, we'll analyze the circuit. V2 is the voltage at this potential. Therefore, V2 is equal to VBE plus IERE, where IE is equal to V2 minus VBE divided by RE. IC is approximately equal to IE because emitter current is approximately equal to IC. Therefore, IC is equal to V2 minus VBE divided by RE you can write. This can be treated as, so from this we can calculate. So how to find out V2? How to find out V2? V2 is the voltage across R2 by voltage divider rule. VCC, the main voltage, into R2 divided by R1 plus R2. This is the formula to find out V2. So V2 is equal to this much. By using these values you can calculate V2 and VBE will be knowing, and IC you can calculate. So to apply, this is by applying KVL to input circuit. Applying KVL to output circuit, what happens? VCC is equal to ICRC plus VCE plus IERE. VCC is equal to ICRC, this is the voltage which is dividing among these three. ICRC, this is the current IC is flowing here. VCE and IERE. Because IC, since IC is approximately equal to IE, this equation can be written as VCE is equal to IC, VCE is equal to VCC minus IC into RC plus RE. This is how we can find out the value of IC and VCE using the voltage divider circuit. This can be considered for coordinates of ICQ is equal to V2 minus VBE divided by RE you can call. If I coordinates for the x-axis for Q point, that is VCC minus IC into RC plus RE. So VCQ it is. This is how we can find out the coordinates for the Q point. Also we want to find out the we have to find out the end points for the DC load line. That will be found out by this equation, where VCE in the, I will call this as equation number, ICQ is equal to this one. Okay. X-axis coordinate equation number, by creating this equation, if I make X component is this one, Y component is IC. So if you want to find out the end point of DC load line on X-axis, IC should be equal to 0. That time VCE is equal to VCC. If I want to find out end point on Y-axis, then VCE should be equal to 0. Then IC is equal to VCC divided by RC plus RE. These are the end points of DC load line, and these two are the coordinates for the Q point. They may ask you some question. In these three, in all these equations, nowhere you can find the beta term. Beta is nowhere visible on this. So the equations, the values of DC voltages and currents are not depending on the beta. So the voltage divider biasing, we can get the good stability against temperature and against beta. So need for biasing, we have the biasing. Which are the factors that are affecting the biasing? One is because of the temperature variation, there may be stability and instability we can find, but because of temperature variation, what and all the stability factors affecting that can be overcome using connecting emitter resistor. And because of beta, that means if the transistor is replaced by some same type of different transistor, what happens? Same type of other transistor, what happens? Beta may be varied. These, if you replace the transistor also, this biasing voltages and currents will not be changed because these are not depending on beta. So, and transistor's operating point will be chosen at the center of that is decided by the values of this VCC and IC DC load line. So transistor can be biased in a very good stabilized mode using voltage divider biasing. Voltage divider biasing, advantages of voltage divider biasing is the Q point does not shift. The Q point does not shift and offers excellent stabilization because it is not, again, Q point does not shift and offers excellent stabilization against temperature and as well as beta. And this voltage divider bias gives better amplification. So advantages of voltage divider bias will be, one is Q point does not shift and it gives excellent stabilization against beta and temperature variations. And the second one is, it is used in almost all the amplifier circuit because it gives better amplification. Okay, that's all for today. In the next class, we'll see some problems on this voltage divider biasing. Thank you.